Yeah.
Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome to another science class. I am Tiffany Williams, Miss Tiffany Williams. So for today's science class, we'll be looking at a very special topic as always. You know our topics are always special. But before we get into that, I'm going to be showing you a video. Right? Now in this video, you'll be seeing some plants and animals and some arrows and all of that. So make sure that you pay keen attention to the video. Alright, boys and girls? Good, let's look at the video.
No matter where on Earth you go, living things are connected to each other. From the tiniest of organisms to the largest of creatures, all living things need energy to survive. So where does that energy come from? Well, matter and energy passes from one organism to another, connecting living things like links in a chain. A food chain. Of course, a food chain is not an actual chain. It's a way to talk about the relationships between organisms and show how matter and energy flow between living things. Every living thing on Earth is part of a food chain, including you, and most things are part of more than one. All of the energy in Earth's food chains comes from the sun. The sun's energy reaches the Earth as light and heat, and plants capture some of it and convert it into food through photosynthesis. Because plants make or produce their own food from the sun's energy, they are called producers. Every food chain must begin with a producer, for example, grass. That's because animals cannot create their own food. They must eat or consume energy from other sources. That's why animals are called consumers. The second link in a food chain is a consumer that eats plants, an herbivore. When an animal eats plants, some of the energy the plant captured from the sun is transferred into the animal's body, where it is used for things like moving, breathing, and growing. An herbivore is called a primary consumer. Primary means first, because an animal eating plants is the first consumer in the food chain. Let's add a rabbit to our food chain. Next comes a secondary consumer, the second consumer in the food chain. This consumer is a carnivore and gets their energy by eating other animals. Maybe our rabbit will get eaten by a fox. When the fox eats the rabbit, part of the energy that the rabbit got from the grass is transferred to the fox. This is the end of this simple food chain. The rabbit eats the grass, then the fox eats the rabbit. The energy that came from the sun is captured by the grass, transferred to the rabbit, and then transferred to the fox. Some food chains are longer than this one, but there can't be too many links in a food chain. Each animal in the food chain uses up a lot of the energy from the previous level instead of passing it on, meaning that only about 10% of the energy consumed by an animal will be passed on to the next level. Let's take a look at a longer food chain that also begins with grass. This time, let's make our primary consumer a grasshopper. The grasshopper eats the grass and then gets eaten by a secondary consumer, a bluebird. Then the bluebird gets eaten by a tertiary or third-level consumer, a snake. The snake is eaten in turn by an owl. The owl is the apex predator in this food chain. Apex predators are not hunted and eaten by any animals. We say that they are at the top of the food chain. You probably recognize a lot of apex predators, like lions, sharks, eagles, and crocodiles. Just because they don't get eaten doesn't mean that they don't contribute to the food chain, however. When an animal dies, their body is broken down by decomposers. Decomposers are usually bacteria and fungi that break down dead plants and animals into nutrients in the soil, that in turn help the plants at the beginning of the food chain to grow. It's the circle of life. Natural ecosystems usually have more complicated food chains, however. A network of interconnected food chains is called a food web. The arrows are used to show which direction the energy flows and help keep track of the connections between organisms. Now that you understand a little bit more about food chains, see if you can find the connections between living things around you.
Alright, so in the video that we would have just watched, what did you observe in the video? Anybody? Okay, Mark, what are you saying? Mark is saying that in the video, he observed some plants, right? He observed some green plants, and he observed some animals eating the plants. Anybody else? Very good, Mark. Anybody else? Okay, Jessica. Jessica is saying that in the video, she saw other animals eating other animals, right? Different animals eating each other. Very good. One more person. What did you see in the video? Very good. Yes, Rachel. Rachel saying that in the video, the plants got their energy, right? Make their food using the sun's energy. Right? Good. Give yourself a round of applause. Now, in the video, all of that comes under food chain. What does it come under? Food chain. So let's look at the definition, or read the definition about food chain. A food chain is a way to talk about the relationship between organisms, meaning plants and animals, right? It's a way to talk about the relationship, right? And show how matter and energy flow between living things, right? So living things forms a food chain, right? And in this food chain, it shows the relationship among them, right? The transfer of matter and energy. Let's go on. All living things need energy to survive. What do they need? Energy. If you don't have energy, you will fall down and die, or you won't have the strength to get up and make something to eat or nothing like that. Right? So you need energy to survive. All Earth's food chains, right? All Earth's food chains, all the food chains in the Earth get their energy from what? Can anybody tell me? Very good. They get the energy from the sun. This energy reaches the Earth as what? Yes, Mark. Yes, it reaches the Earth as heat, Abigail, and light. Very good, children. As heat and light. Have you went to the sun and you feel like it's getting hot? Or the sunlight is too bright? Yes. So the energy, that is energy, light and heat energy. Right? Now the plants, what the plant does is that the plants capture that energy from the sun and converts it into food. Right? Just like how you have to get your ingredients to make food, that is what the plant uses. The plant uses the sun's energy, which is light and heat, as the ingredient to make food. Okay? How do they make it? How do the plants make this food? Through the process of photosynthesis. So photosynthesis is the process by which plants make food using the light's energy, using the sun's energy or the sunlight. Okay, everybody? Now in the video, we would have seen a food chain. Now, what is the first thing that you saw in the food chain? Anybody can tell me? Yes? Marshall? Yes, he said it's the grass. He saw grass. Very good. So we have a picture of a grass. Alright, and we're going to put it here. Good. Grass. Now, where do you think this grass gets its energy from? Very good. The sun. So we're going to put sun on top. Right? The sun. And we're going to put an arrow pointing towards it. Everybody can see it, right? Good. Good. So we would write food chain on top of it. Very good. You saw a grasshopper. Good. We're going to have a grasshopper here. We're going to put an arrow to show that the grasshopper ate the grass. Right? Good. What ate the grasshopper, class? Michael? Okay, Michael is saying that the bluebird ate the grasshopper. Very good. Alright, so we have the bluebird. Everybody see the bluebird? Yes, we have the bluebird here. And we have to put an arrow to show. So the grasshopper ate the grass, the bluebird ate the grasshopper. Next one. What ate the bluebird? Can anybody remember? Very good, Abigail. Abigail is saying that the snake ate the bluebird. Very good. So we're going to put the snake here. Good. Now we have to show our arrow. Good. What ate the snake? Can anybody tell me? Yes, Steve. Steve is saying that the owl ate the snake. Good. You guys have very good retainers, man. So the owl ate the snake. I'm going to write grasshopper here. Bluebird here. Snake. And owl. Good. So this is our food chain from the video. The grasshopper ate the grass, the bluebird ate the grasshopper, the snake ate the bluebird, and lastly we have the owl eating the snake, sorry. So what ate the owl? Can anybody remember? Very good. We have something called fungi or decomposers, right? Fungi, which is mushrooms, right? The energy from the sun and making the food, what do you call that? What do you call the grass? Can anybody tell me? Very good. You call the grass producers, right? Producers. And what is a producer? Producers are plants because they make their own food. Okay, they make their own food using the sun's energy. They are at the beginning of the food chain. Everybody get that? Good. Good. Producers. Now we have the grasshopper. Now grasshoppers, bluebirds, snake, owls, and so on, they are called consumers. Okay? They are called consumers. They are called consumers because they cannot make their own food. Now under consumers we have different kinds. We have primary, secondary, tertiary, apex predator, and so on. So the grasshopper is called the primary consumer. Right? It's called a primary consumer and it is a herbivore. Herbivore is the first consumer known as the primary consumer. Everybody see this? Right? These consumers only eat plants. So the herbivores only eat plants like the grasshopper. Anybody can give me an example of a herbivore? Cow, goat, sheep. is called the secondary consumer. Why is it called the secondary consumer? Why do you think the bluebird is called a secondary consumer? Because it takes the energy from the grasshopper. Okay? So, bluebird is a carnivore. Carnivore is a secondary consumer. Alright? Now, carnivores get their energy by eating other animals. Alright? They kind of make their own food. They take the energy that the grasshopper would have gotten from the grass, right? And they eat the grasshopper. The energy that the herbivore got from the plants is transferred to the secondary consumer. Example, bluebird eats grasshopper. Everybody get that? Okay. Next we have the snake. Alright? Now the snake is a territory or tertiary consumer. Why? Alright? Because they eat the carnivore, they eat the bluebird. Right? So the snake is a tertiary consumer. So I'm going to put him here. Or should I just, okay, I'm going to put it. This is a third level consumer. Alright, everybody? We now go on to the apex predator, which is that of the owl. Now, apex predators are not hunted, meaning no other animal eats them. Okay, they are at the top of the food chain. So we're going to label the owl as the apex predator. Because he's at the top of the food chain. Nobody else is eating the owl. Alright? So, we have the grasshopper, bluebird, snake, owl. Owl is the apex predator. Okay? Now, when an apex predator dies, or when an animal dies, their body is decomposed by bacteria and fungus. Now, these are called decomposers. What are they called? Decomposers. So, we have the example of mushroom there, and we're going to have decomposers here. So, when an animal dies, which is the apex predator, their bodies are broken down or decomposed, right, by bacteria and fungi into nutrients that is needed for the grass or the producer. So when the apex predator dies, they decompose, they turn to nutrients, goes back into the soil, and then the grass observe that so they can get nutrients to make their food. Everybody follow me? Good. So all of these animals here are called consumers. The grasshopper, bluebird, snake, owl, they are all called consumers. So what are consumers? Consumers are animals because they cannot create their own food. They eat or consume energy from other sources. Everybody follow me? Good. So what I want you to do now is to quickly form groups of threes and come up with your own food chain. Alright, it don't have to be so long. Alright, this group of three, what is your food chain? Okay, they're saying they have the grass. What eat the grass? The cow, what eat the cow? A man. Very good. This pair here now, this group of three, sorry. What is your food chain? They have grass. Yes, what ate the grass? A goat, and what ate the goat? What ate the goat? A tiger. Very good, very good. This one here now. What is your, you have grass. No, cherry. Yes, you have cherries. So the cherries on the tree. Yes, and what ate the cherry? Oh, you changed your mind. Alright, what do you have now? Okay, you have leaf. The leaves on the trees, and what ate the leaf? The caterpillar. What ate the caterpillar? The bird, and what ate the bird? The mother's cat. Very good. Alright, the mother's cat ate the bird. Good. So very good, children. That was your examples of food chain. Now, you think you can work your activity by yourself now? Yes, I'm going to give you an activity sheet. Yeah, so group A is what you're going to do, right? You're going to use the words and place them under the correct heading. So you have grass, caterpillar, bird, tiger, bacteria. So under you're going to put these words on the heading: producer, primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer, apex predator, decomposers. So this is what you have to do. Group A. Everybody see that? That's group A. Alright, group B, that's what you have to do. The same words that group A have, you have to make a food chain with the list. Okay? So this is your activity, group B. Alright. So you have 2 minutes to complete. It's very easy. Here you go. Here you go. Alright. Alright guys, I have collected your work and we have from group A, right? Group A we have Arisa Griffin and she got all correct, right? She has put the grass, the caterpillar, grass for producer, caterpillar for primary consumer, bird for secondary consumer, the cat for tertiary, tiger for apex, and bacteria for the decomposer. So very good, group A. And group B, you had to make your food chain, and I like how you did your arrows. Very good, right? The caterpillar ate the grass, the bird ate the caterpillar, the cat ate the bird, the tiger ate the cat, and last the bacteria ate the tiger. So very good, guys. So let's quickly recap. What is a food chain? It's a way to talk about the relationship between organisms and how matter and energy flows between living things. So basically, it's a chain linking one organism to the other, showing how energy is being transferred. Okay, everybody? And we have what? What are the key terms that we must remember? Producer, consumer. Producers and consumers. And how many consumers are there? We have the primary, secondary, tertiary, and the apex predator, along with the decomposers. Okay, everybody? So